Welcome back to Ultra for another one. Right, today's video we are going to be doing something a little bit exciting. I've been waiting to do this for a little while. I'm going to be showing you the new ozone unit that I've got hold of and that I'm building the new system around. No secret, I've been quite a big fan of ozone for its uses in what I'm trying to do with the high levels of feed, and I'm going to continue that theory, that hypothesis on the new two tubs. The easy ponds in the tunnel is what I'm referring to. If you haven't seen those, go back and check out my other videos showing you how I'm putting those in, and that build is carrying on. So this ozone unit is slightly different to the others. It is an ozone UV, so it's a UVO. It does UV and ozone at the same time. So I should see the double benefit. It uses less power than a lot of traditional UVs, still a lot less, but it will do both the jobs. So this way, anything that comes through the system, the UV will kill first in terms of bacteria, bugs, like your standard UV will, and then the ozone that it draws out of the quartz will be added to the water stream after the unit and the return to the pond. Couple of things with this: I don't have to have the air pump in the pond directly, so the fish don't have to swim through the stream. Again, you've seen before, I've had zero problems with it, zero issues at all. However, I did say before, I'd be more comfortable doing it away from the stream. So that's what I'm going to try, see what the difference is. So yeah, without further ado, let's crack on. Let's have a look at this unit and see you in a sec. So here we have the Aqua ultraviolet ozone purifier unit. As you can see, I've got it all out, put it so you can see on the table exactly what it is. You get obviously instructions, different instruction pamphlets. You get the body itself, the unit. You get one ozone UV bulb. You get the Venturi with it, and then this is your power supply that goes in the top of the unit, which obviously powers the bulb and gives you what you need, plus some fittings to obviously fit it into your water. Now, this is a more advanced unit than the unit that I looked at last year. Well, that was the entry to the ozone market, just to see what it did. This is a lot further up that scale. So this unit is the 18 watt unit. It is available in 18 watts and 55 watts, depending on the size of your pond, and they've got recommendations on the website which size they're up to, which states that the 18 watt is for ponds up to 4,000 gallons and the 55 watt is for ponds up to 10,000 gallons. So it gives you more of an idea of where you're at. Like I said, 18 watt unit here. Now, straight away, the first difference you'll notice, this is water flow. This is an in and an outlet for water. This will be hard plumbed into your return line on your system or on a separate line. Not to put before your biological filtration, to put after it as the water returns in. Now, the difference with this one, what this is doing, this is creating the ozone via a different technology. It is using the UV bulb along with a quartz sleeve inside the unit, and we'll take the unit apart and have a look at it soon. First of all, you'll get the benefits of the UV bulb, which will kill any of the particles which are in the tube at that time, and then it will draw the ozone from the quartz sleeve as it passes through, adding that into the water mixture. You then have the ability with this unit to inject the ozone in several different methods into your water. So you've got the option of doing it in an airline, the same as the other unit where you have the air pump connected to it, which will push it through. You'll have the ability to do it through a Venturi system, which comes with it, and you'll also have the ability to put it through a protein skimmer or a protein reactor, depending on if that's how your setup is. So you've got multiple different options how you want to do it, how you want to set it up. Obviously, that will all be down to personal preference, what you feel. From my point of view, I'm going to be looking at the Venturi system because it means I don't have to run another air pump on it, and then that'll add the oxygen back in to the water flow as it returns to the pond. So quite excited about this. Like I said, it is a different technology, so it isn't relying on the corona discharge unit that the other unit uses. It uses the UV bulb, and the same principle is why you're going to have to replace this every 6 months like you would any UV bulb. The first benefits you can see with this, so you're getting a much smaller power consumption of a unit again compared to what you would in UV, a standard UV. As I said, this one is the 18 watt version, and will do those ponds up to 4,000 gallons. If you were looking at something like just a UV on its own, you probably find you're going to be looking at a minimum 55 watts for some of the smaller units. And I think Evolution Aqua's new titanium one that they've just launched is 110 watts at the £350 mark, and you're only getting the UV element of that. Again, what I stressed, which I spoke about before when I was talking about the ozone, is a lot of places they market these as UV sterilizers. Pond manufacturers, as a rule, don't make UV sterilisers. They make UV clarifiers to help clear up your water. sterilising and clarifying are two different things again, which we've touched on before, so just to remind everyone of that. So let's have a look at the unit a bit closer anyway. I will be doing, obviously when I put this together on the system, I'll be showing you all of that, but I just want to show you the unit indoors while it's nice and clean and I can see properly in here. So let's crack on and have a look. So when you're looking at the price of the unit, the 18 watt unit retails for £400 or £399.99, and the 55 watt unit retails at £449.99, 450 quid. To give you an idea of where this is competing in the market. So it is around the prices of your mainstream UVs. So straight away, as I've started to take this unit apart, I've taken out the two threaded guide lugs, and then started putting this apart. The unit feels very solidly put together. There was a lot of the material feels a lot thicker, and it feels higher quality than the unit before. Obviously, you'd expect that when it commands a lot more in terms of monetary value than the other unit. So, but yeah, just wanted to show that as we go along. I'll take these pieces off now. Alright, so taking it apart, first of all, there's the bulb. You can see the bulb here. So it is an Ozone UV bulb, 18 watts. The unit itself, obviously I've taken it apart, and you need to be very careful when you're doing this because you don't want not damage the quartz sleeve. But that is the quartz sleeve that sits inside the unit. This is part of the technology that will, with the UV bulb, generate the ozone. That sits in there. I'm going to pop that on somewhere nice and soft quickly. And then inside you will find the rest of the unit, which is just the plastic parts keeping it all together. So your water will come in at the bottom here. It will then be pushed up and around the unit. Everything will come in contact with the UV and the quartz sleeve, and then it will travel back down the other side and into the water outlet and on its merry way. The UV bulb obviously will all sit within that and will plug directly in to this unit once that's fitted on top, which is the power supply on the unit itself. So let me pull it back together and then hopefully you can see what I'm talking about. Just again, when you put this back together, this is a very nice, tight, snug fit, and you can definitely tell straight away you're going to get no escaping from here. So very nice seal. So I've put the clamp back around it. Just going to insert back the quartz sleeve into it, which just sits in here using the rubber seal, and then on top of that, dropped it. There is a nice plastic collar which I'm going to go and have to rescue, which you just thread on top. Alright, I've rescued the end cap. I dropped it on the floor, so now I can show you. But this sleeve goes on beforehand because that's how you screw the top of the cap in to make sure it remains secure, and then this just threads on top like this, and then this unit will be screwed nice and tightly to the unit that's going to sit in there with the quartz. So yeah, there we go. Okay, so just to show you how the bulb will sit in, I'm just going to put it in there. I'm not putting the bulb in today because I'm not using the unit just yet, and I don't want this clattering around while I'm trying to fit it, etc., and put pipe fittings on. So that literally sits in here with the power unit on top of it, and then that's obviously where it'll emit its UV rays and do the job that it needs to do. So there you go. So here again, I've got the control unit, power unit. This connector here is where your UV bulb will be plugged into. The black tube next to it, this one here, not to be confused with the power cable, is actually an air intake tube. So that is connected to this one at the top here, the large knob that you can alter the amount of air that comes through, a little filter on it, and when it supplies the air into the quartz tube with the UVs on, so it can again work its magic. So as I said, normally the bulb would be plugged into here, so you'd be sliding that in as well, but I'll just quickly show what that looks like. Quick disclaimer here, I'm not putting any O-rings in place that I've been provided with. I'm not looking at those yet, as I said, because I'm just doing a quick dry run before I actually put it onto my system. Okay, so that's how the unit will sit once it's in. You can see the air intake filter which I was talking about. Here you've got the option for your airline if you want to pump your own air into it. But that's a thing we'll come on to in a moment. So these, like the other unit, just screws down into this bracket here. I will say this bracket feels a little, I mean it's not screwed up at all, but it feels a little bit flimsy. Not sure how long it will last, if it's done a test time, but we'll see. I don't know if there's a better way that you can connect that together. You can do that, I don't know. I think it would probably involve making this unit thread, and it probably increases manufacturing cost a lot, I'd imagine. But yeah, there we go. So on to the rest of the bracket here. So you'll see this flappy panel. You get a very short piece of cable from the actual unit itself to go into it. Not long enough to put this on the floor, but that's all right. They've got you covered. They've thought of a nice little bracket, and they've put the little running guides on there, which you can then slide, if I have two hands, straight down. If I don't push it on the table, you can slide that straight down, and then it will sit on there for you. Obviously, you'll straighten it up so it's all nice and straight. But yeah, there you go. That is how the unit goes together. Quite excited about using this. Don't know if you can tell. Okay, so we've had a look at the unit itself. Now it's all together. Let's just talk about the fittings that it comes with and the connection of it. So you get a array of fittings for it. You've got two different types of hose towel, and then you've also got some solid pipe connectors if you want. Simple as unscrewing the thread, choosing the connector that you want. This is the up to the 2-inch ones. Pop your collar around. Obviously you'll put an O-ring in, which I'm not doing at the moment, and then screw it up. Job done. Once that's screwed up, you'll then obviously connect your pipes either side as part of your return line. Nice and simple, nice and straightforward. The good thing is all the sizes they use, they never use pressure pipe fittings, which is another thing I really like. Doesn't send you down the route of having to buy couplers, changes, step up, step downs. It's all done in conventional waste pipe sizes. And like I said, you've got the 4-stepped ones and you've got the 3-stepped ones, which equate for all different sizes depending on what return line you want. That's how that goes together. The next thing we're going to look at is the Venturi, which is this piece here. So we were talking before about how you can inject this into your water stream. So you've got two options. You can put it through a Venturi in this sense, or you can put it through an airline and inject it as you would the other one through the normal airstone, through this up here. So it's important to remember that when the water's going through here, this is just acting as a UV, as a standard UV would, and spending lots of time in contact with the UV rays being emitted from the bulb. The ozone part does not happen in the water at this stage while it's in this unit. The ozone part happens in the quartz sleeve, the other side, where it's creating the ozone as a byproduct. That's what we're going to be pulling out of the top, and we are going to be pulling that along into the Venturi, which will sit a lot further down your return line before it returns into your pond. So it looks like this is in 43mm coupling sizes in terms of pipe. So I'm going to have to fiddle back, because I'm using 2-inch to return it, to try and work out how to get this in. But the theory is that this will sit on your return line. This part here will be connected to the top of that unit there by airline, drawing the air through. It will be using a vacuum situation in here, using these collars that you can change to alter the airflow depending on the size of the pump that you're running. We'll suck the ozone in and add it into your water stream there before returning it back to the pond with the returning water it does. So hopefully that makes sense. Now, like I said, I've got to try and figure out a way to get this in onto a 2-inch setup. No big deal, just means I've got to do a little bit more fiddling to get it set in, because I'm going to have 2 return lines going into both the tubs. But obviously for anyone, normally you probably only be running it into one tub, or one pond, sorry, and then you can just plumb this in 1.5-inch waste return, because there isn't an awful lot need for a bigger half the time. There we go. So this is the instructions for how to set the Venturi up. These are the 2 colours that I was talking about. So it says here that you use the big one if you've got a high output pump. It calls high output over 1,000 litres a minute, and you use the small one for anything less than that. And this in turn is what creates the vacuum inside. The water flow pushing through, this displacement ball getting moved, and it sucks the air down that tube. Like I said, this is if you are going the Venturi. You don't have to use it this way, but this is one of the main reasons I really like the look of this unit and wanted to give it a go. So I will probably try it on this one first of all, because I don't think I'll be running anywhere near 1,000 litres a minute, and that should be enough. But obviously if it's the case, then I'll put the big one in if I need to. But yeah, that is in theory how it all works. Like I said, I will show you how this actually goes together on my pond, and in the situation I'm using it. But that should give you an overview of exactly how this beast of a unit goes together. You do have some mounting points on the bottom as well, so if you wanted to mount this to a thick piece of wood, in turn to a piece of a slab of concrete, etc., you do have the choice to do that to keep it. It's nice, and so it's a lot of a beefier unit compared to the other one. So we've covered the Venturi, which we've just gone through. Just put a bit of airline on it to show you. So you'll have the airline there, which will then connect to that piece at the top. Now, talking about the unit itself, and spin this round, you do have this here, which is a spigot to fit the airline onto. So that's for the Venturi. It will draw the ozone out of this unit. So the ozone is being created inside that quartz sleeve that I showed you earlier, and then it's going to be pulled up through here. Now, what you do from here, as I said, you've got the choice. You can either do it into your Venturi, or you can do it into an air pump, and then you can decide where it goes through an aerator, or you can even do it into your protein skimmer if you want. Now, the caveat to this, if you want to run this on an air pump, which I won't be doing, certainly not in the immediate future, because my main thing was the Venturi, I wanted to do it this way, you will need to have an air pump that has an inlet and an outlet on it. So an air pump that can take air from a source, so you can connect this pipe to your air pump, and then your air pump will then have its outlet and push the air through. If you don't, I'm not sure how you're going to manage that, because I don't even think using a non-return valve will create enough of a vacuum. I'm not sure. So it's something I'll have to question Filtration about, just to try and understand that a bit better. But like I said, that's not how I'm going to be using it, so I'm not too worried, but I will find out the information for anybody else who's interested. There is, I think, actually in the instructions a diagram of what I was just talking about. Let me see if I can see that. Yes, there we go. So, in terms of, this is the unit itself. These are the two options in terms of the Venturi and an air pump. So the Venturi, as I said, that's the spigot at the top. You connect your airline from that to the top of the Venturi, and this will be plumbed into your return line. That's where it will put the ozone in. The other option is this air pump up here. This, as you can see, the air pump's going to need some sort of intake to be able to draw the ozone out and put it into its air supply to push it through. So you're going to need some kind of special air pump for that, I'd imagine. Maybe something that I'm completely unaware of, that's quite mainstream. I've never seen anything like it, but then to be honest, I've never really looked or paid that much attention. So, but I will try and find out the answer to that question. And then again, there's just the actual unit all diagrammed up, showing you what we've been talking about throughout this video. So you can see the water's in, comes up the middle, in contact with the UV, back to the outside, where it then will draw through into the rest of your system. Cool. So just quickly to talk about the size of the unit. So I have spoken about, obviously it's a fair bit bigger than the other ozone generator I was using before. This unit itself, I says the 18 watt one, and this is 500 millimeters from top to bottom, and it's got a diameter of 126 millimeters. The 55 watt unit, which is the bigger of the two units, is the same diameter. It's 126 millimeters, but it does have a height from top to bottom of 800 millimeters. So if you're looking at that, you need to factor that in the space that you've got it. But yeah, as I said, quite a substantial size bigger than the other one. I'm excited to see how it goes and to use it. So like I've said, there's the two sizes. This is the 18 watt one, and there is the 55 watt one. Now, as well as obviously producing the UV rays that will take care of anything that it comes in contact with, like it does in any chamber and any UV, this unit also produces 424.5 milligrams of ozone per hour. That is to obviously comparison to the other unit, which was claimed at 500 milligrams per hour. So in addition to what the UV is doing, it's producing that. The good thing is you don't have to turn this on and off. So you literally turn it on, you leave it on like you would any UV as you want to. It doesn't need a cooling down period like the other one. It doesn't need to be on for the maximum of 3 hours, recommended 2, etc., and then off for an hour before coming back on. So you don't need to put a timer on. This can run 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. The only caveat being, as with any UV unit or anything like this, it needs that bulb replacing at 6-month intervals, because although it may appear bright, it's not actually working. The 55 watt UV, which I said was the bigger of the unit, which is for ponds up to 10,000 gallons or 45,000 litres, I think there's off the top of my head. That produces a lot more ozone. So that produces 1,297 milligrams of ozone per hour. So a much bigger unit. It is, as I said, 55 watts, as well as obviously producing the UV in the same that's in the chamber where the water comes in, goes to the middle. Like I've covered in previous videos, if you haven't used Ozone before, these are good entries. The amount they produce, especially the amount of water that you're talking about, you're not going to be able to overdose your system, which is great, especially for novices and newbies and people who just want to try something different. That's what I found very good on the other one, is that I've never been in real danger of doing any damage. That said, if you are, just general practices, if you are not feeding your fish much, you're through the winter, you don't need to be running Ozone that much at all, because it will be looking for things to oxidize with and killing, and that's when it will start probably moving towards your filter. But yeah, there you go, that's that unit. I hope that's of use in that sense. I hope you've enjoyed this video. We will, as I said, be doing a video in future on how I'm actually going to fit this into my system, and again, just showing you guys, putting money where my mouth is, practice what I preach sort of thing. Just, I want to see what we can do with this and how it runs on the two easy ponds when they're up and running. I will also be putting it on for beginning as well, because I've heard a few things about you can't run it with a new system. Don't know if that's true or not, so we're going to find out. Obviously we want the bacteria in the filters to mature, but obviously we don't want anything nasty growing in the rest of the pond, so we shall see. It may be the case that I have to leave it off for the first few weeks to get everything established a little bit, but we'll find out that way. Like I said, hope you found it useful. I hope you've enjoyed that. Tune in for the next one, or the next couple, where we're going to be focusing on the easy pond, and hopefully I'll get this plumbed in and finished off. Just need to get a few more bits in terms of the system itself, and hopefully we'll have it all up and running very soon. But thanks for watching, guys. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, and take care.